So do you guys remember ZilianOP, the Twitch streamer who was banned from Twitch in 2013 for allegedly faking a disability? I talked about him earlier this year, and if you haven't seen that video where I tell the story of the situation surrounding his ban, I highly recommend you watch that video before watching this one. But the too long didn't watch version of the old story is this. Zilian was a streamer who apparently claimed that he was paralyzed from the waist down and wouldn't ever be able to walk again. He always streamed in a wheelchair, and viewers would often donate to him out of sympathy. Until one day, he suddenly stands up out of his chair when he thinks the camera's not rolling, and people felt duped. The clip of him standing up became known as the Zilian Miracle, it went viral, and Zilian was quickly outed by the internet at large for being a fraud who faked a disability to get a leg up on Twitch. Shortly after the story blew up, Zilian was banned from the site and essentially banished entirely from the online live streaming community. By 2015, he would essentially disappear from the internet, never to be seen or heard from again. Or so we thought, because very recently, Zilian came back, and his return is what we're going to be focusing on today. In April of 2020, Zilian quietly made a return to Twitch under a new identity, Itsblooish. Hoping to keep a low profile on Twitch, Bluish made no mention of his former self and streamed World of Warcraft for a small audience, all while hoping that nobody identified him as Zilian under his new blue hue. But eventually the connection between Zilian and Bluish was made. On June 10th of 2020, Zilian's perennial enemy and Facebook hacker Hypnotical caught wind of the Itsblooish account and identified him as Zilian, then quickly rushed to Reddit's livestream fail subreddit to expose Zilian's return to the masses. His post read, "Streamer ZilianOP banned for faking a disability has returned under a new alias and just got partnered," and he added this clip to boot. Once livestream fails caught wind of this, they got big mad. Zilian's alter ego was exposed and his cover totally blown, leading to many reporting his channel to Twitch for ban evasion and others sending angry tweets to Zilian's new Itsblooish Twitter account informing him that he had been busted. After realizing that Hypnotical had blown his cover, Bluish booted up a Twitch stream and addressed the frothing masses. And in this stream, he did indeed confirm that he was Zilian. But that's not all he did in this stream. He made a bold assertion that the going on 8-year story about him faking a disability was bogus, suggesting that the widely thought to be truth surrounding his story were exaggerated bits of misinformation parroted throughout the years. And he had some pretty solid proof that supported the idea that he didn't outright make up a disability for Twitch.
And in that Diablo stream, I started off with no cam until stream wanted me to get a cam. I ended up buying a camera. I was in a wheelchair at the time. There was never any ploy to, hey, you're in a wheelchair, you should start you should fake being in a wheelchair to start streaming.
This is the important part.
I can go into my Facebook here and just show you guys a little bit. How do I get to my page on Facebook? I don't actually use Facebook. So let's see. How do I get to my page? Thing. I wasn't sitting there trying to fake anything or try to be someone I wasn't. This is me outside of. This is me outside completely of.
So look at this date. I don't know when this guy's video of him getting up out of his wheelchair was. I don't know the date of it. June 12th, 2012. Or June 9th, 2012. That's him in a wheelchair. Not on stream.
Being in stream, and before I ever started streaming, my beard's much shorter there. I was in the wheelchair beforehand. Me at concerts, me out traveling, me out doing everything. This was just like I was in a wheelchair. I did get better, and I am obviously no longer in a wheelchair. The video was made out very much to be that I had tried to become this person who is in a wheelchair to
It's hard for him.
To get money off of people and to show my disability in such a way that it was a way for me to gain money or viewership or whatever.
Zilian/Itsblooish was able to produce Facebook photos dated just prior to the date of him originally streaming, would show him out in public in a wheelchair. Admittedly, rather convincing evidence that pretty much proves that he didn't outright create a fake disabled persona to get big on Twitch, as many outlets have reported over the years, including myself. Even with showing these photos and explaining his situation, this stream mostly fell on deaf ears. His account was terminated for ban evasion literally hours later. He then went over to Mixer and streamed for a bit, but then Mixer got shut down, and now his last bastion of hope is YouTube, and that's where he remains to this day. But Zilian/Bluish isn't taking all this lying down. Lately, it seems like he's been more vocal than ever regarding the old fraudster narrative, and seemingly begging anyone to take a second look at his story. Like for example here, when Zilian challenged the old narrative within a recent video created by a small YouTuber named IDoRL, called The Untold Story of ZilianOP. In this video, IDoRL gets into contact with Zilian and shares a Twitter DM conversation they had, in which Zilian again points out that all of the articles and videos targeting him over the years don't actually have any direct proof that he was never disabled or required a wheelchair prior to streaming. I'll post IDoRL's video down below if you want to check that out. They talk about more in the video. And this is where I sort of become invested in the story again. In early September, I finally got up to speed on all the Zilian news, his return as Bluish, his subsequent ban, and the stuff he was saying in regards to him faking a disability and all, and of course the photos that he was able to provide. And it got me thinking, what I'm about to say was actually a point brought up by Ido in his video, but is it possible that we could, just maybe, have a cancel culture situation on our hands here? I mean, the guy literally has photos that show him in a wheelchair just a month or so prior to him starting streaming. And yes, I know what you're thinking. We all saw him stand up on camera and seemingly walk away for a second. But I mean, just because someone is in a wheelchair doesn't mean that they're completely 100% paralyzed. And sure, there's the famous story that the girlfriend says after he stands up about the dog peeing on her and stuff. It seemed hella suspect and that she was trying to cover something up or distract the viewers.
Easily argued.
Our dog, oh my god, we took our dog, like to the fish shop today.
But Zilian makes a good point in the DMs with IDoRL that even if she was watching his stream, Twitch lag would likely prevent her from reacting to him standing up so quickly. When you consider this stuff, I think it's perfectly fair to take a second look at this situation. So it became clear to me with me making the previous video, the only responsible thing to do here, with Zilian now back in a public light, would be to reach out to him and ask for his side of the story. I wanted him to have a chance to address the many allegations thrown his way over the years. Allegations like he begged for sympathy donations, constantly told people that he would never walk again, that he raised $10,000 for a wheelchair and spent it on something else. It's been almost 8 years now, and outside of an old deleted apology video that only had a few thousand views, Zilian hasn't really said much about the old situation. Let's give him a chance. With the help of IDoRL, I got in touch with Zilian and asked him if he wanted to talk about everything, and he said yes. We talked for a good while, and the rest of the video is going to be portions of our interview where I essentially ask him about the allegations thrown his way. I will be providing some contextual commentary throughout, if required, for that particular segment, okay? So starting off, I questioned Zilian generally about the most damning claim against him, that he outright created a fake disabled persona for Twitch growth.
I think really the best place to start off here is, so the 8-year story that's been going on now, that you created a fake disability, integrated your disability into your streams, sort of like asked for donations based off of it. And then, there's this one video that pops up of you standing up in your chair, seemingly shattering everything, and you just the whole fraud comes tumbling down. Is that story accurate? Like, did that happen?
It's inaccurate in the sense that the entire story is blown into a proportion that's not entirely true. My whole stream knew that I was going through physical therapy. No one knew the extent of my recovery. I was in a wheelchair for 2 years. I was in a car accident.
Okay.
Which put me in a wheelchair for more than a year prior to streaming.
Mm-hmm.
I started streaming without a cam, grew a decent following that way, just from doing stuff in Diablo. We would carry people through content or give them free loot or whatever it happened to be via the video game. Then there was an outcry for a cam, and that's when everyone realized I was in a wheelchair.
And you know, with these Facebook photos that you've shown on stream before, it's pretty much proven that, you know, that was the case, that you were in a wheelchair before streaming. I'm not going to be the person that sits here and says you had a conspiracy to take photos like months before you started streaming in a wheelchair to be like, yo, we're going to open a stream and I'm going to use this wheelchair to get sympathy and stuff. I think that notion, just by you showing those photos, that you created a fake, you know, disabled personality, that's completely not true. And
correct.
Yeah. You said you started streaming without face cam. So if you were going to use your disability early on to get views and stuff, why would you not just go straight to face cam?
It would have been a day one.
Yeah. Okay. So
like logically thinking from a relatively intelligent person,
yeah,
it would have been a day one.
That makes sense to me.
Like, bet I got this idea.
Is there any reason why you did, like, did you not show, I mean, that sort of direct evidence back when this was happening?
So that's where my biggest failure comes in, is that while I just kind of become the wheelchaired streamer at the time, and I know that sounds really cliche or maybe even used to my own benefit or whatever it happened to be, but I did need the chair. And at that point, I was just kind of the wheelchaired streamer. I also didn't share too much about my personal life outside of the fact that my relationship was kind of on stream. There wasn't daily updates of, oh, hey, today, guys, I held the bars. I took my first 2 steps.
Yeah.
It was never something that I shared anything about other than the fact that I was going through physical therapy. And I wish I would have done it differently, to be honest. I think it would have been a much cooler story in the long run, right?
One of the biggest points of criticism against Zilian is that even if he was disabled, he was outright lying about the severity of his condition, with people claiming that he often stated he would never be able to walk again. In the next segment, we discuss the veracity of these allegations, and also Zilian elaborates on the nature of his physical disability from back in 2012 and early 2013.
So, when you're on stream, I mean, even starting from the beginning when you were doing Facecam first starting off, were you telling viewers that you were paralyzed from the waist down and that you couldn't walk? Was that something that ever happened?
There was never any detailed anything other than I was in an accident and I'm in a wheelchair.
I want to say this, you've seen the reactions throughout the years of how many people, there are a lot of examples of people in Reddit posts and stuff like that saying that they were just so confident that you couldn't stand up and walk. Do you feel like you screwed up in the sense that, like, when you are integrating your disability so much in stream that it may have put off a certain image that you were wheelchair bound when you weren't? Are you willing to admit that perhaps not updating people was a mistake there?
It was my biggest mistake, not updating people. And I guess I have no defense for it. All I can say is the facts of, from day one, I needed the wheelchair. After my stream was done, I still needed the wheelchair. You can see in the video, I'm pretty hunched over. I'm not used to walking yet. And I still use the wheelchair to get around. If I needed to go to the store, I absolutely needed it. I could not walk through an entire store. There was no way that I could walk that far.
So
it was something I used for quite a while afterwards.
So while you were streaming, it was I
wasn't sure also how fast I was going to recover, or if I was going to fully recover, or what exactly was going to be my entire situation to where now I can walk and run.
So you were still, like, when you started streaming, you were able to get up to like a degree, but like you still use the wheelchair routinely in your daily life. I mean,
when I started streaming, I needed it like completely.
Okay.
It was my 100% go-to. If I needed to go to the bathroom, I was getting out of my bed, pushing myself in a chair and going to the bathroom.
And then where were you at? Where were you at the point of where the video of you standing up happens? Like, where were you at that point with your ability to walk around and stuff?
I could get around my house. I could get to my bathroom.
Yeah.
As far as going and checking the mail, I lived in a pretty big apartment complex. It was far enough away that I needed the chair.
Yeah. Look, man, it's one thing. I mean, if you weren't being completely transparent or just, very diligent about updating your stream about your physical ability. That's one
I wish
thing.
I would have, and I
Yeah.
think it's such a different time and day now. Like streaming was so new at that time that all we were ever taught was to not give too much personal information. Don't do this, don't do that. And now streaming just seems to be such a huge part of your life. People are vlogging, people are showing every portion of their life.
Yeah, I think what you did there, I mean, that's a human mistake. Like I was saying, I wanted to say, like, that's one thing. I mean, that's a screw up, and you've admitted that you could have done better there. But like completely like making up a disability, that's something else, and that's something that you've proven that you didn't do.
Well, and it would be fraud, and it's something that I'd be in prison for.
Yeah.
People often claim that Zilian deceptively used viewer sympathy to beg for Twitch donations. A commonly cited example of this is an alleged case where Zilian started a wheelchair donation drive for himself and spent the money on something else entirely. We discuss viewer sympathy and the wheelchair donation issue here.
Would you say that there were any plus sides to the, you being, like you said, you were known as the disabled streamer? I think there is an argument to say that would help you stand out in a way. Now, it's one thing where that just happens to be your situation, and then you like marketing yourself as that. Now, I haven't seen any video, proof of you being like, donate to me for wheelies and stuff like that. Is that...
There was a wheelchair fund.
Okay.
That I didn't start. My chat started it on their own. It was mostly done by a guy who goes by StephDev. And he threw in almost every penny of it, to be fair.
Yeah.
And him and I are still friends to this day. He knew the situation well beforehand, even before I started streaming, and he was the one that went for the whole deal.
Yeah.
Not to say that when I got a donation that I wouldn't do a wheelie every once in a while, and I definitely did wheelies on stream. I had fun in the chair.
Yeah.
But it wasn't advertised of, hey, donate to me because I need this money for my physical therapy, or donate to me because this is all I can do to
it was just
have a life. It
was just something that was sort of ancillary to your stream, and you like embraced it in a sense. You weren't sitting there directly like begging for money, I'm disabled, give me money, feel bad for me kind of thing. It was just a part of your stream.
And being I mean, you do YouTube, so I guess it's a different side, but as a streamer, if you have a following, you're going to get donations, period. You're going to have subscribers, you're going to get donations. It's just part of how streaming works.
I actually personally reached out to StephDev regarding the wheelchair donation drive. StephDev confirmed that the drive was indeed viewer initiated and not started by Zilian. I asked if the $10,000 figure was correct, and StephDev explained that the amount raised was actually far less, stating that it was actually something like a few $100s to at the most $2,000. Next, we talk about the infamous Zilian miracle clip and the chat logs which came out afterwards, where Zilian seems to explain that he fell trying to stop his dog from messing with his computer cables.
So I want to ask you about, of course, the infamous video, the Zilian miracle clip itself. So did you really fall? Like, you mentioned it that you were hunched over, like, so you actually did fall.
I fell on the other side of the desk.
Okay. And so why did you like go and cover it up?
There's a lot of missed
hide the
because I was
screen.
being an idiot because I didn't update on everybody on everything, and it was instant.
Did you feel like you got caught for something that you knew you were going to get shit for?
I feel like I got caught in something that I didn't know how to. At the time, I didn't even consider the fact how to like it was a big mistake. I didn't know how to say anything different. I could have done everything back then, and I should have been like, these are the pictures, these are the everything, here's the medical information, here's the whatever you guys need to see, like here it is, this is my progression through physical therapy that you guys know I've been going through. I should have obviously addressed it entirely different, and I did not.
So you're 100% dead on there. I think you would have been a lot better off. So
it was cancel culture ahead of its time afterwards.
Yeah. So the chat logs, were you still trying to cover your ass with those where you're like, I need to go lay down, blah blah blah. You knew you were caught and you just wanted to get out of the situation right there.
I didn't come back on stream because I was in pain.
Okay, so you actually,
as far as me falling and being in pain. Okay, so where they're seeing, I said that I pushed off. I mean, I don't know the exact logs. Be 100% with you. like rewatching and rereading all that stuff is just such a negative part of my life, right?
I understand. Yeah.
So I said, I'm pretty sure I pushed off my desk and I fell, trying to get my dog off the wires. My dog was eating my wires. He had ripped them in half earlier that day, which my stream went down and then came back up after I twiddled the wires back together and stripped them. And then that turned into him being at my wires again.
Yeah, but I don't feel like doing it again.
Bad dog.
That fight was gay on normal.
Around the house.
And I stood up and walked away. However, I had just fixed the wires when he went back to them. I didn't even realize my stream was live. It came back online on itself and started auto streaming without me saying start stream, because it had never technically ended because my internet just went out and then came back.
So
it was a mistake that I'm glad was seen at this point, and I'm glad that, like, for the people that are still close to my life that knew what was going on before and knew that I was progressing in my therapy and stuff, I think I wish I would have been more open, and it's just all crap ended from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made it in the logs for sure. I did fall on the back side of my desk. When the camera actually went down is when I grabbed my desk and I hit the ground.
So you're saying that you didn't know that you were actually live when this happened?
I had no.
And of course, it's impossible to have a discussion about the Zilian Miracle clip without talking about his girlfriend Panthoria's reaction, where it seemed like she saw him stand up on stream and told a bullshit story to distract viewers from what was happening.
Our dog, oh my god, we took our dog, like to the fish shop today.
Admittedly, Zilian makes a good point here, suggesting that stream delay would make it virtually impossible for Panthoria to react to him standing up so quickly.
So
Panthoria's reaction is probably one of the biggest things that's brought up.
yeah, so okay.
We're going, oh my god, and then she starts talking about her dog.
Yeah.
Well, the story of her dog peeing on her is 100% true, and why she said, oh my god. And anyone that knows her or was part of it back then knows that she's just one of those. It's just how she is.
Well,
She's really excited and she wants to tell a story.
So I was my thought here was that she was watching the stream because I know that she wasn't at your house, but she was watching your stream wherever she was.
Delay back then was about 20 to 30 seconds.
What kind of voice chat were you guys using?
Ventrilo. Whatever is happening live on my stream, if I'm lifting up my vape, for instance, my audio is also live. So the person that I'm talking with is happening at the exact same time that I'm doing what I'm doing.
So
if they saw something,
they would be responding to things that happened in the past.
Correct, because there is the delay. So say it's 5 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever the delay is. 10 seconds later, they would see that and they would say something. So it would actually show up 10 seconds later on stream as well.
So she was just telling a random story.
Literally a story about our new puppy peeing on her. Yep.
You're willing to admit that this story...
My actions were completely to cover up in the wrong direction, and I should have been open from the beginning, so I didn't feel like I was caught at all in any way whatsoever. If I would have been open about my progress, then I would have stood up and there would have been no conversation.
Yeah, you would have came back on stream and just gone with it like you normally do.
100%.
Okay, cool. I think that's...
I'm entirely in the wrong for not giving updates on what was going on with me.
Tell me, what more can you say, man?
Next, Zilian shares his thoughts regarding the reporting about him that has occurred within the last 8 years, suggesting that most of what has been said comes from people who never actually watched his stream.
I think that it was less the viewers that felt... I mean, there was definitely a set of viewers that felt misled, but think about me averaging between 200 and 400 viewers on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And then think about I guess this is something that you guys don't see, but then there's your side of it to where you've now gotten, I don't know, last time I looked, it was over 1 million view video about me.
Yep.
So now 1 million people, we'll cut that number down by a lot. 100,000 people have sent me messages about how much they hate me. They'll comment on any video I post that you're a piece of shit, or you should get hit by a bus, or you should die, or you should be in prison, or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
Most of these people that are reacting today never had a clue who I was.
There have been 2 official statements from Twitch given to Kotaku regarding Zilian's ban. Here we talk about the first Twitch statement, which states he was banned on the basis of fraud, and that Twitch refunded Zilian subs after he was banned.
I think maybe we want to address refunds.
Refunds can never happen.
So
I'm still in contact with many of those people, and nothing was ever refunded, including my own family members who were subbed.
So you have sources that say Twitch never actually refunded the people after your ban?
100%.
Okay. And I did hear you mention on one of your comeback streams recently that if anybody, because there were people who donated to you through, was it PayPal?
PayPal, yeah.
If they
direct PayPal links back then, not Streamlabs and whatever.
If anyone requested a refund through PayPal, you did refund them?
I refunded everything.
Okay. Would you
anything that anyone wanted back was completely refunded.
Yeah. It was a long time ago, but I think it will help if maybe later. Are you willing to share any of like maybe censored receipts from your PayPal account on that behalf? It might take.
It would take me a while purely because I don't even know how to log into any of those things at this point. I don't have access to that email. All of that stuff was taken away from me. It was all hacked and completely password changed. I can't get, just like my Facebook, I can't get access back to it.
Okay,
so I'm not sure how I would.
Yeah, if you can't get it, you can't get it. I'm just saying it would help. So the Facebook hacker was also responsible. They hacked your PayPal and stuff. So did they steal money? Like what?
No. So the person that took all my stuff was his name's well out there, Hypnotical. We knew him as Hypno back then. He helped me at the start of my stream before I even had a camera. He helped me post on social media, helped me post on my Facebook, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And when the original stuff, whatever he was saying, started to hit on me, I had lost access before my stream went down to these things. However, I could still log in, but I would go to change the password and he would immediately change it right back, not realizing that he also had access to my email.
Yeah. So, I mean, was there money in this PayPal account when you lost access to it?
There was, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, how much do you think was in there? Like, how much did you lose?
I don't know. Probably easily a couple grand.
So, is that you saying that Hypnotical stole $1,000 from you?
I don't know what he's done and what he hasn't done, to be honest with you. It could all just be sitting there right now.
I reached out to Hypnotical, Zilian's Facebook hacker, and asked him if he had access to Zilian's PayPal account and if at any point he had ever locked him out of it. Hypnotical strongly denied that he ever tampered with Zilian's PayPal. Quote, "Absolutely not. I had no idea that happened, and I feel like that's borderline illegal." He does go on to admit that at one point he did know the password to Zilian's email account, confirming it used the same password as his Facebook profile, but makes clear that he never messed with the email account itself. I relayed Hypnotical's response to Zilian, and he responded with, "If I was in his shoes, I don't think I would admit to having access or changing passwords to someone else's banking info." I also asked Zilian how he was able to refund people after his Twitch ban if his PayPal account was hacked. He responded stating that he didn't lose complete access to it until some time after the ban. In this situation, it's pretty much Zilian's word against Hypnotical's. But I will say this, it would be strange for Zilian to lie about refunding people considering that it's debatable if he even had a moral obligation to do so in the first place. And Hypnotical has outright admitted to hacking Zilian's Facebook and admitted to at one point knowing his email password. That doesn't outright prove that he tampered with anything in the email or any of the accounts linked to it outside of the Facebook account, but it is very suspicious.
So I want to talk about, since we're on the topic of like your shit getting hacked and stuff, there were some Facebook posts that I mentioned in my video that were posted like in January of 2013, where it kind of seemed like Hypnotical or whoever had hacked the Facebook page was sort of suggesting that you were like scamming people by not being honest about your disability or faking it. I mean, what do you have to just say to that in general?
At the time, I didn't understand where he was coming from, other than the fact that he was one of the people that knew progress in physical therapy to some extent, or knew that I could do other things. Like, I don't even know where he was coming from in saying that stuff. The situation on stream hadn't happened. There was no real info out there for anybody. My life was pretty private.
Yeah.
So I'm not even 100% sure how that information was grabbed and thrown out there in the way that it was.
Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, the stuff he posted, it was just kind of like wheelchair jokes making fun of you. But there were some that were like, I think there's one that it's like being very sarcastic. It's like, hey guys, it's me, Zilian, donate to me. Daddy needs a new set of legs. You know, stuff like that. And it's just, there's a bunch of stuff like that. And I mentioned it in my video because it did seem like that this guy had some inside information that
I didn't realize that who had even had the account at that point.
And you didn't. When did you realize who it was? When did you realize
When
it was
he-
Hypnotical? Just when he
called
said
himself
it?
out.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
When he
Okay.
called himself out.
All right.
I couldn't figure out who hacked the Facebook and who was trying to come at me or anything. So it was no clue as to who it was. I've never met Hypnotical in person.
Okay.
I've never lived in the same state as Hypnotical. I don't know any of Hypnotical's friends. I have no clue how he was saying stuff other than like everything that he said prior to everyone finding out would have been him just trying to troll me.
Next, we briefly cover what happened with Zilian's lesser talked about controversy, his Diablo botting scandal.
You had a pretty famous situation where you got busted for botting in Diablo.
I did, yeah.
Who-
Fact. I learned that from how to bot from other streamers.
I'm sure at the time it was probably running rampant. I mean, it doesn't excuse you for it or anything.
No, not at all. They put a
Yeah.
real money auction house in the game, which
Mhm.
was the majority of what botting was. You could sell a piece of gear for $250, and some people were selling things for thousands and thousands of dollars on eBay at the time.
So do you think with you doing that, you did like giveaways and stuff with Diablo items on your stream?
Correct.
Is that correct? Are you willing to admit that's messed up? That if you were buying items,
The botting didn't directly affect the items that I was giving away. Most of the items were community-driven items,
Okay.
or us actually farming the items on stream. What it did affect was, I don't know if you played Diablo back then.
I've just it's a blind spot. I'm sorry. Yeah.
But for any Diablo fans, there was a system called Ubers. And in order to get into Ubers, it was like the end-to-end game content. You had to go farm keys. And the key farming was tedious, but we would carry people through the content
Mhm.
on stream. So I used the bot to farm keys, and
Okay.
I had an account banned for it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I never did it again after I was banned for it.
Because around the time when this happened, like I found some old Reddit threads where people are just drilling you for your botting situation. I mean, and it seemed like you really it was like one of the bigger reputation hurting things that you had done earlier on in your career. And just my thought here is like these guys stuck around, and then the Zilian miracle thing happens, and they just took it and ran with it and twisted it into something that it wasn't really. Or do you think it's just people just want a crazy fucking story?
I think that the second someone does something wrong on the internet, I think anytime something's done wrong in a public way, it's going to be like talked about as much as possible.
Yeah.
There were other streamers in Diablo at the time that were smaller streamers, and they streamed the same amount of time that I did, if not more than I did. And I think there was a lot of room for them to grow by putting things out in the light that they did. Now, streamers are friends with streamers, I'm sure, just like YouTubers are friends with YouTubers.
Yeah.
So these people all knew me probably better than my stream did.
Mm-hmm.
So it was much easier for them to use it to their advantage in that way, and they absolutely did.
Yeah. I think it's just one of those things where if and we see this a lot in the YouTube community, where somebody will do something that's like kind of bad, right? They shouldn't have done it. People think they know you as a content creator, and then when something comes out that challenges that, they get mad, and people start spinning the truth, and it snowballs, and it turns into a guy made up a crippled wheelchair personality and started streaming, when in reality it really seems like, and you've admitted that you were wrong for this, that you just weren't 100% transparent with the viewers, and it was possible people got led astray, and then when you stand up, it causes this crazy he's a fraud mentality.
Absolutely.
And look, You've
No, the lashback I got initially was not. There was almost no lashback initially, other than the ban itself.
yeah.
Once the first video went up on the internet and it hit 100,000 views, then the lashback was insane.
Moving on here, we now go into the second official statement that Twitch gave to Kotaku, which claims that an admin very familiar with Zilian's channel was responsible for laying down the ban hammer on his Twitch channel.
I want to talk to you again. We've got another quote here from the Kotaku Twitch direct quote or whatever, about your ban in particular. I think you might find this interesting. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it says, the Twitch employee who is in charge of his partnership account had watched his broadcast for some time, and much like his viewers, was fully under the impression that Zilian was disabled to the point of being wheelchair bound. They never had any reason to question otherwise, as we have an existing community of disabled broadcasters. What do you like in response to that?
I never had staff in my channel, especially not my what they call them community managers at the time. Him and I spoke to. We had Skype accounts back then where we would message the people, and I would message him via Skype if I needed something. Like, we actually used to have to go to them directly to get new emotes uploaded and whatever.
Yeah.
But he was not a viewer of my channel, so like a lot of this stuff just seems kind of, once again, blown out of proportion. I don't understand in any way whatsoever, to be honest with you.
Like, this guy, I don't know, this guy, he could be just gotten
Some of the
swayed.
statements from the Kotaku thing in particular just seem really odd to me. When someone gets banned on Twitch, there's almost no information given out from Twitch, almost ever.
Yeah, especially not nowadays.
Yeah, Twitch gives so little information out, and for that to be wrong information really, like, throws a wrench in the whole loop. Back then, I mean, I was subbed to myself. Now you get an automatic sub to your channel, so it looks like you're a tier 3 whatever sub.
Yeah.
But back then, we used to have to pay to sub to ourselves. I never got a refund to myself either.
So
I don't understand the whole sub refund thing.
This guy who was responsible for your partnership account, he seemed to think that you were wheelchair bound and couldn't stand up, and there were I don't want to say viewers.
Well,
really.
at the time of me starting my stream and becoming partnered, I was wheelchair bound and could not stand up.
And you screwed up by not updating people, which
Correct.
You've admitted to. This is honestly, I want to say that it's crazy that they banned you for that, but actually, the way Twitch has been going lately, it doesn't surprise me.
I'm currently in contact, like via a few people with staff, to get my account back.
Yeah, I think...
and it's not actually my Itsblooish account that they're willing to unban. The Itsblooish account, my most recent account, Itsblooish, was banned under the pretense of I was ban evasion.
Right.
However, my original account... So that one's permanently gone. Like, they apparently cannot unban it because of the fact that it actually breaks TOS.
The ZilianOP account, the original one?
The ZilianOP account is something that we're working on getting back currently.
Wait, what account did you say was like Shadow Realm banned?
Itsblooish is gone.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Which is my newest account and what a lot of people know me as now.
Yeah, so the original Zilian account is still in purgatory.
Yep.
In regards to the previous segment, I actually discovered some interesting information about Zilian's ban from a former Twitch streamer associate of his from back in the day, Derpy David. Derpy David was founder of the Bearded Network, a Twitch streaming network, and Zilian was one of the streamers on this network. When asked about their relationship, David admitted he felt duped by Zilian and has cut ties with him ever since this happened. But he continued talking to me and disclosed some interesting information that sort of contradicts the statement given from Twitch claiming that an admin who regularly watched Zilian pulled the trigger on the ban. David explains that Twitch staff was actually asking him about the Zilian situation when it happened, even pulling David into a Skype chat asking him to explain the sort of stuff that Zilian had been up to and questioning him about the wheelchair stand-up situation. Quote, specifically, my partnership handler is the one that questioned me. Was his name. However, as of recently, he no longer works for Twitch. The Twitch staff member's name was censored per David's request, and I want to personally thank David for his correspondence on this matter. To me, this seems like Twitch may have gotten wind of the news articles circulating about Zilian, and rather than basing their ban off actual evidence of fraud, sourced opinions from various members of the community that knew Zilian personally. potentially leading to a false narrative regarding what he really did, resulting in his subsequent ban. Derpy David could not confirm that Twitch staff reached out to other Zilian associates regarding the situation, but I think it's definitely food for thought. Twitch has proven in the past that they will unjustifiably ban users without providing any direct evidence of wrongdoing, and this could have been the case here.
I wanted to bring this up earlier. It just crossed my mind. So you made an apology video. I think I actually just found out about this recently. I didn't know this for my first video, but I think you released it in like October of 2013. It was like a little bit after this happened, like several months after it happened. The video's no longer up. I've only been able to find like a broken like Wayback Machine version of it. Do you have that video, or did you delete it?
I have nothing from back then.
So
I completely disappeared from the internet. I got rid of my computer. I lost access to my email accounts, which was my login to that YouTube channel, because that YouTube video is still technically on that YouTube channel. It's just hidden.
So you can't log into that account?
I'd love to, but I cannot.
And this is on the YouTube / Zilian TV account. Is that the first one?
Zilian TV or ZilianOP, something like that, yeah.
I want to clarify here that the privated apology video is on the YouTube channel youtube.com/ZilianOPTV, which was created after his ban in 2013. Zilian says that he made this channel after he lost access to his original YouTube channel, youtube.com/ZilianOP, due to the alleged email hack. He claims he has since forgotten the login to the channel with the apology video, and that he's also lost access to his original channel after losing control of the email account that it was connected to. However, after our interview, I noticed that a clip I had used as B-roll footage in my first video, which was present on his original channel back in February, was now deleted. Additionally, it appears that about a month ago, someone had set up a title for a live stream but never actually went live on this channel. This was suspicious to me, and I challenged Zilian on his claim that he didn't have access to this particular account when it was clear that it was recently tampered with. And this was his explanation. I had it logged in on an old phone that I had found. Never could figure out the passwords to change it. It requires your old password to update a new password. When I set it up for streaming, I noticed since it had over 1K followers, I would be able to get the Twitch equivalent of a sub button on YouTube, but never could get into the account on my computer. I said, so you got on it with the phone, played around with it for a bit, never actually streamed, just messed with the features, and while you were on, removed that old vid. And he says, yes, just seemed at the time like ammo for more videos to be made about me. I later asked him to summarize his entire explanation for not being able to get into the accounts in one concise message, which I will show on screen now. It's essentially what I've already described to you, but feel free to pause and read it if you like. Now, you can believe his explanation here or not. It is admittedly somewhat far-fetched, but I reckon not out of the realm of possibility. As far as the account with the apology video, there hasn't really been any activity on there for years, and it is very possible that he did just forget the account info on that one. Or he just really doesn't want us to see the apology video. Whatever the case, while I generally trust this guy, I wanted to be transparent with you all and draw attention to this discrepancy. Now, let's move on to him describing what the apology video actually was, and also some final statements on this whole matter.
Do you mind, off memory, I mean, I wish we had the video, but what did you apologize for in the video?
I apologized for not being open about what was going on. I mean, I can actually apologize again, and I feel like it's something that I can't apologize enough for the people that were truly misled at the time. Not necessarily people, and I hate to say this, not necessarily the people that have been misled to this point, like that didn't know me back then, but anyone that had donated to me back then, or had supported me back then, or supported because I was in the chair, or whatever it may be, like I do sincerely apologize for misleading people and for not letting people know that I was at the point of recovery that I was at. And also for my actions in the process of when it was found out that I defended myself in a completely wrong way and should have been just open and honest from the get-go, and I would have never been in that situation. But when it did get seen, that I should have just been straight up.
I think that's a solid apology, dude.
Kind of gets me choked up a little bit, man.
Well, I mean, it's it's probably been a crazy 8 years, you know, living with all this, man.
It's been a trip. It's definitely, I mean, I made my initial apology and I streamed again and then now came back to streaming just recently. Because it was something that if someone, I guess all I can say is you're passionate about what you do with YouTube. It's something that you enjoy, that you think about on a, you don't like, streaming doesn't stop when stream ends. YouTube doesn't stop. Like, you're always thinking about new ideas.
Yeah, it's a dream
you're
job.
Eating dinner. It's a dream job, but it's like you're all day, every day. You wake up with a new idea of what to do. Like, from the moment you wake up, it's not, oh, I got to go brush my teeth. It's like, oh, I got this stream idea. Like, oh, it's sweet. And then you go brush your teeth, you know?
Yeah.
So it's something that I have a huge passion for. I love the community. I love getting to chat with people. I love getting to be a positive light in the community to where I can encourage people to support others and to not badmouth other people and to just be, you know, friends.
Yeah.
Cancel culture threw me for such a loop. Seeing what happened to everybody that's out there, and some of it I think was needed and stuff needed to come out. And in other instances, I just think that it's just too much. It's just people hating people to hate people.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you, man. It gets out of control.
It kind of hurts your heart a little bit to see that people can be that way to each other, though, man. I'm more one of those people that, like, I forgive people for when they did something wrong, but I never forget. So if they were to do it wrong again, like, I'd be like, hey, bro, you need to quit your shit. Like, you can't keep stepping over this line and keep screwing up.
Yeah,
I didn't forget the last time you did it.
I think the most important lesson from all of this is if something like this happens, like, get out in front of it. Talk about it. Don't run from it, because if you're actually innocent, or I don't want to say innocent, right? Not guilty.
Because I'm not innocent as far as
yeah, exactly.
Goes. I should have been open about everything.
Yeah. And I think
I should have been open about the recovery from day one. My wheelchair is part of my stream, and it's something where people see me do wheelies and something people see me stuck in. I should 100% have been like, hey guys, today at physical therapy, I walked 2 steps.
Yeah, that would have helped.
What an exciting day for me, and I didn't say a damn thing.
Are you still in the wheelchair at all?
No.
Okay. Well, congrats.
No, I used the wheelchair for a bit afterwards. The wheelchair that was donated via stream, I put up on an ad on Craigslist. Mm-hmm. For full price, mind you.
Yeah.
And when people would come to check it out, there was someone that came to check it out, and he had his kid with him, and his kid was in the truck, and he was the one that actually needed the wheelchair. And it was the plan the entire time to find someone who actually really needed it and to just give it to them.
Fair enough.
Because I didn't need it anymore. And they came over, and he tried to haggle me down on price a little bit. And I mean, it was like, wasn't actually going to charge you, like, here's the chair. And he cried, and it was this big emotional moment, and the kid was so excited, and it was so neat.
That's great.
But I was in a wheelchair for a while afterwards, and then after that I used a cane for quite a while, which was an interesting experience. You feel like an old man the second you pick up a cane, like, way different than a chair. You feel like an old man with a cane.
Yeah. Well, that's a wholesome story right there, dog. I think I've pretty much cycled through everything that I wanted to ask you personally. I'm sure there's people that are gonna put comments under the video. Maybe there's something we didn't talk about.
I know there's a few people, and I've seen some like really long-winded comments from people saying I was in a guild with him back then, and he just seemed like a scumbag from day one.
I've seen that. I've seen that actually.
So I've seen that comment. I have no clue who that person is. I don't know if I was in a guild with him in WoW or not. Like, I really have no clue.
At the end of the day, man, all of these...
I don't actually understand it all.
All of these posts are... It's just circumstantial shit where people are... They're just saying stuff. I mean, it could be true or not, but there's no evidence. You got to have evidence to cancel somebody, guys. You do. I'm sorry. I'm willing to admit fault to a certain degree. About reporting your story without hearing your side, but in fairness, you were gone.
Yep.
And it was an event.
By the time it got around to you, it was just something to report on that was going to get some views and would be some controversial thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna post this this new video that we make. It's gonna be posted all over the old video. so we can send traffic to this one. People can hear your side. They could believe you. They cannot believe you. I personally believe you. So viewers could take that as you will. But
I honestly think everyone should be able to believe whatever they want to believe at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Are you planning on coming back to stream?
I do plan to stream again. If I do, the only current spot for me to stream is on my current YouTube account.
Yeah,
It's something that I'm taking a little bit of time off of,
Mhm.
purely because, I mean, even a Twitter post that I make, the second I make it, it's full of comments that I just don't want to read.
Yeah. Well,
If I leave a VOD up, I logged in my YouTube last week, or a few days ago, I guess,
mhm.
and I ended up removing all of my VODs because when I took a week off stream, every single VOD was just littered with comments I didn't want to read.
Well, if you do come back, which by all means you should, I think if anybody has any extra questions, I'll have his new stream information linked below. Go ask him. I mean, you've seen this video. I don't know if you have any further questions, feel free, but I think Zilian has made a pretty good case for himself here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add, man?
I mean, take care of yourself, take care of your friends, take care of your family. Just watch out for others, man.
You want to stand up for the viewers?
I'd love to. I'll take a bow.
Exposed.
The two-time did it again.
Yeah.
With Zilian's side of the story out now, it's really up to you, the viewer, to make an informed judgment call regarding his situation. For almost 8 years now, you've heard the rumors, allegations, and circumstantial evidence suggesting that this guy was a scumbag. With his side of the story now out there, do you feel the same about him? Personally, I don't. Zilian is by no means innocent, but is he guilty of what he's been accused of for almost 8 years now? Outright fraud? Creating a fake disability? So much of what has been reported about this guy over the years seems to be hearsay and exaggerations, just word of mouth comments. And I don't know if I'm willing to outright cast this guy out forever in all eternity just based off of rumors. I think it's definitely a fair criticism to say that the guy played into the persona a bit, and he was absolutely in the wrong for not updating his stream on his physical progress. But ultimately, I think this guy gets heat for something that he provably did not do. Maybe it's time to give Zilian a second chance. But that's just how I feel about it. It's you guys that decide what's going to happen with Zilian. His fate is in your hands.